June Kim stared out the window of the spaceship as it approached the massive Galactic Council station. The huge ring-shaped structure orbited a yellow star, shining like a jewel against the blackness of space. "Beautiful, isn't it?" asked Hyun, who stood next to him. Her dark eyes reflected the starlight. June nodded. As the team's xenobiologist, he had studied all 17 alien species that made up the Council, but seeing their massive station in person made everything more real. Humans were about to join the galactic community. "I still can't believe we're the first human delegation," he said. "4 years of training and I still feel unprepared." Captain Lee approached them, her uniform crisp and perfect. "Remember your training. We represent all of Earth today." The ship docked with a gentle bump. June felt his heart beating fast as the airlock hissed open. This was it. First contact. The welcoming chamber was huge, with a high ceiling that curved overhead like the inside of an egg. Light came from everywhere and nowhere. The air smelled clean but strange, with hints of something like cinnamon and ozone. And then June saw the aliens. He had studied their images, but the reality was different. The Vril looked like tall, elegant insects with 4 arms and shimmering green exoskeletons. The Lumen were even stranger, beings made of what looked like living crystal that glowed from within. Other species filled the chamber, some floating, some crawling, some walking on legs of different numbers and shapes. But something was wrong. As the human delegation entered, June noticed how the aliens reacted. They moved back. Their movements became stiff. The Vril's antennae went rigid. The Lumen's glow pulsed in quick, sharp bursts. "They're afraid," June whispered to Captain Lee. "But why?" A tall, willowy alien with blue-tinted skin and large dark eyes approached. According to June's studies, this was a Zal, one of the oldest Council species. It wore flowing robes decorated with what looked like writing. "Welcome, humans," it said through a small device at its throat. The translator made its voice sound musical and slightly metallic. "I am Elder Jean. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I greet Earth's representatives." Captain Lee stepped forward and gave the practiced greeting they had rehearsed. "The people of Earth thank you for this welcome and look forward to peaceful exchange between our worlds." Elder Jean bowed slightly, but June noticed it kept more distance than seemed natural. The other aliens watched from even farther away. The humans were shown to a large round table. Strange-looking fruits and vegetables were arranged on plates. Elder Jean explained that a special protein dish had been prepared for the humans, based on their research of Earth diets. "We understand your species requires different nutrition than most council members," Elder Jean said carefully. As they sat, June watched the aliens' behavior. His scientific mind noted how they all kept at least 2 arm lengths away from any human. When Captain Lee reached for a glass, a nearby Vril froze completely. Hyun leaned toward June and whispered, "Is it just me? Or are they acting like we might bite them?" Before June could answer, Hyun pulled her hand back sharply from the table, with a small cry of pain. "Are you okay?" June asked. "Yes, just cut my finger on this," she said, holding up a sharp-edged ceremonial object that had been placed as decoration. A small drop of red blood welled up on her fingertip. The reaction was instant and extreme. Every alien in the room went completely still. The Vril's antennae stood straight up. The Lumen glowed so brightly that June had to squint. Some smaller aliens actually backed away toward the exits. Elder Jean made a sound like a flute being blown too hard. The translator didn't catch whatever it said. June didn't understand what was happening until he glanced at Hyun and saw her pupils had grown larger at the smell of blood, a normal human response. Looking around the room, he realized the aliens weren't staring at the blood. They were staring at the human's eyes. Quickly, June pulled a bandage from his pocket and handed it to Hyun. "Cover it quickly," he whispered. The tension in the room remained high as Hyun wrapped her finger. Captain Lee tried to continue the conversation, but the aliens had become even more distant and cautious. Later, as the humans were shown to their quarters, June accessed the ship's database to review what they knew about the Council species. A pattern emerged that he hadn't noticed before. Not one of the 17 species was a predator. All were herbivores, filter feeders, or photosynthesizers. None had forward-facing eyes. None had teeth designed for tearing meat. That night, Elder Jan requested a private meeting with the human leadership team. June was included because of his biology background. In a small meeting room, Elder Jan sat across from them. Its large eyes reflected the light oddly. "There is something we must discuss," the alien said. "Something we did not expect when we invited Earth to join the Council." "What is it?" Captain Lee asked. Elder Jan seemed to struggle with the words. "Your reactions today, your physical responses, they are troubling. I apologize for the blood," Hyun said. "It was a small cut." "It is not the blood itself," Elder Jan said. "It is how you responded to it. Your eyes changed. They widened." "Pupil dilation," June explained. "It's automatic in humans, especially in response to certain stimuli like injury or threat. Our ancestors needed to gather more light to see danger or prey more clearly." At the word prey, Elder Jean's body made a small shuddering motion. "Yes," the alien said quietly. "That is what troubles us. In our many thousands of years exploring the galaxy, we have encountered over 200 intelligent species. None evolved from predators, none except humans." The room went silent as the humans processed this information. "You are predators," Elder Jean continued. "Your bodies show all the signs. Forward-facing eyes for hunting, teeth for tearing flesh. The way your pupils changed at the scent of blood. Even now, as we speak, your eyes track movement in ways that mark you as hunters." Captain Lee leaned forward. "All humans eat plant foods too. We're omnivores, not pure carnivores." "This does not change your evolutionary path," Elder Jean said. "Your ancestors hunted and killed to survive. This shaped your bodies, your instincts, your very minds, in ways different from all other council species." June suddenly understood the fear they had seen all day. "You're afraid of us." Elder Jean's large eyes blinked slowly. "Fear is a gift from evolution, human June. It has kept prey species alive since time began. And yes, many council members are afraid. We must decide what this means for Earth's place among the stars." The human delegation looked at each other. This was not how they had imagined first contact would go. "We have built peaceful civilizations," Captain Lee said firmly. "Whatever our ancestors were, we have grown beyond that." "Perhaps," Elder John said, "but when your eyes changed today at the scent of blood, we saw something ancient and dangerous awaken. Something that has not existed in the Council galaxies for many thousand years." Elder John stood, its willowy form seeming to flow upward. "Rest now. Tomorrow we must decide whether predators can truly join a community of prey." As the alien left, June realized that humans faced a challenge they had never prepared for. On Earth, being apex predators had put humans at the top of the food chain. Among the stars, it might make them outcasts. A month passed since the blood incident. The human delegation remained on the council station, but things were tense. Most aliens still kept their distance from the humans. Some refused to be in the same room with them. June spent his days in the station's science section, studying alien biology. Tai, the team's cultural expert, worked with him to better understand the council species. "Look at this," June said, pointing to his screen. "Every council species evolved from prey animals or plants. None has predator ancestors." Tai nodded. She had straight black hair and calm eyes. "That explains a lot. Their whole society is built on cooperation, not competition. Humans evolved as predators, but we also learned to cooperate," June said. "That's how we built our civilization." "They don't see it that way," Tai replied. "To them, we're just scary meat eaters with sharp teeth." June sighed. "We need to show them we're more than that." Later that day, Tai found old council records in the station's library. She called June immediately. "You need to see this," she said when he arrived. "These are ancient stories from the early days of the council, maybe 50,000 years ago. The records told of frightening hunter species that once threatened the early space travelers. These species had forward-facing eyes, sharp teeth, and ate other living things. According to the records, these hunter species disappeared mysteriously long ago. They think predators can't build lasting civilizations, Tay explained. They believe the hunter species all killed each other off. But that's not true, June said. Earth has many predator species, and humans are proof that predators can build peaceful societies. That evening, all the humans were invited to a special dinner with Elder John and other important council members. Captain Lee told everyone to be on their best behavior. The dinner started well. The aliens seemed less nervous than before. June sat next to a small vril scientist named Tick, who asked polite questions about Earth. Then the food machines broke down. "We apologize for the inconvenience," Elder John announced. "Emergency rations will be provided." Servers brought in plates of raw plant material for the aliens and synthetic protein for the humans. June looked at his plate. The protein was brown and shaped like a small steak. "This looks like rare beef," he said without thinking. The room went silent. Every alien froze again, just like on the first day. Tick's antennae went completely straight. Captain Lee shot June a warning look. June quickly added, "But it's completely synthetic, of course." No animals were harmed. The aliens relaxed a little, but the damage was done. They had been reminded of what humans really were. After dinner, Elder John asked June to stay behind. When everyone else had left, the tall alien studied him silently. "You wish to know why we fear your kind?" Elder John said finally. "Yes," June replied. "Humans have built peaceful societies. We're not a threat to the council." Elder John touched a control panel. A 3D image appeared, showing a human running. "This is what terrifies us," the alien said. "Your ability to chase prey for hours or days without stopping. We call it the endless pursuit. No council species can do this. If we run, we must soon rest. But you humans, you just keep coming." June understood. Persistence hunting. Our ancestors chased animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. "Yes," Elder John said quietly. "And your bodies still carry those traits. Your forward-facing eyes to track moving prey, your teeth to tear flesh, your sweat glands to cool your bodies during the endless pursuit, and your pupils that grow large at the smell of blood." June tried to explain. "But that's just biology. We've built cultures and ethics that go beyond our instincts." "Perhaps," Elder John said, "but old instincts never truly die. They sleep until needed." Over the next weeks, the small vril scientist, Tick, became braver. Despite its fear, it asked to study June and other humans. Captain Lee agreed, hoping this might help the aliens understand humans better. Tick set up a science lab where it ran tests on willing humans. It measured their strength, speed, and mental responses. June helped explain the results. "Your neural responses are much faster than any council species," Tick said one day, its voice buzzing through the translator. "And your pain tolerance is remarkably high. Humans evolved to ignore pain when necessary," June explained. "It helped us survive." "To hunt?" Tick asked, its antennae twitching nervously. "Yes," June admitted, "but also to protect our young and our communities." Tick's next words surprised June. "You evolved to catch things that didn't want to be caught. We evolved to avoid being caught." "That's a simple way to put it. But yes," June said. Tick showed June its test results. By council standards, humans were incredibly tough. They could endure pain, hunger, and exhaustion far longer than any council species. Their reaction times were faster. Their bodies healed more quickly from injuries. "These are traits of a hunter," Tick said. "Evolution shaped you to overcome, to pursue, to catch. It shaped us to hide, to flee, to survive." One day, Tay joined them in the lab. She had been studying council cultures while June worked with Tick. "I found something interesting," she told them. "The council's entire approach to space exploration is different from ours." She explained that council species explored space very carefully. They sent robots first. then observed from a distance, then made peaceful contact only when absolutely sure it was safe. Humans charge into the unknown, Tay said. We take risks. It's part of our predator nature. We're curious and brave in ways prey species aren't. Tick's antennae moved in what June now recognized as a thoughtful pattern. Perhaps there is value in your different perspective. That small comment gave June hope. Maybe the council could learn to accept humans despite their differences. Later that week, Elder Jean invited June, Tay, and Captain Lee to a private meeting. The willowy alien seemed troubled. Our council members remain divided on the human question, Elder Jean said. Some see potential benefits in your different evolutionary path. Others fear it too much to accept. What do you think? Captain Lee asked directly. Elder John was quiet for a moment. I think that 50,000 years ago we encountered predator species that threatened us. They were violent and aggressive, but they were not like you. They had not built the civilizations, the art, the science that humans have. The alien touched a control and images of Earth appeared. Human cities, music performances, scientific laboratories. Your predator instincts gave you aggression, yes, but they also gave you drive, ambition, curiosity, things many council, species lack. Elder Jean's large eyes studied them. You turned the hunting drive into something more, something that built rather than destroyed. Does that mean the council will accept humans? Tay asked hopefully. It is not decided, Elder Jean replied. But there is another factor to consider. The alien showed them a star map. A small red light blinked at the edge. A council research station has gone silent, Elder Jean said. The last message was concerning. It may be nothing. Or it may be something the council has not faced in thousands of years. June felt a chill. What do you mean? Perhaps, Elder Jean said quietly. We may need predators after all. 6 months had passed since humans first arrived at the Galactic Council Station. Things were slowly improving. Some aliens still avoided humans, but others, like Tick, had become less afraid. June was in the science lab with Tick when the emergency alert sounded. A loud, pulsing tone echoed through the station. The lights changed to a deep purple color. What's happening? June asked. Tick's antennae were vibrating rapidly. Emergency council meeting. Something is wrong. They hurried to the main council chamber. Captain Lee and Tay were already there, along with representatives from all 17 alien species. Elder John stood at the center looking more troubled than June had ever seen. We have received a distress message from Research Station 12, Elder John announced. It is located at the edge of council space. A hologram appeared above the center of the room. It showed a broken transmission from the station. The image was poor, with static cutting through it. A Lumen researcher was speaking urgently, its crystal body flashing with alarm patterns. Attacked by unknown, defenses not working. Moving too fast to see clearly. Need immediate. The transmission ended with a blur of movement across the screen, something dark and fast that the camera couldn't capture clearly. The council chamber erupted in frightened sounds. The Vril's antennae went rigid. The lumen glowed in pulsing patterns of distress. What was that thing? Tay whispered to June. I don't know, he replied. But it moved like a predator. Elder John called for quiet. Our automated defense systems at the station have failed to respond. We have lost all contact with the 53 researchers stationed there. A tall, plant-like alien spoke up. We must send security forces immediately. Our security ships would take 3 weeks to reach the station, Elder John replied. And if the defenses there failed? The chamber went quiet as everyone considered this. Council security relied on automated systems and technology, not on the physical abilities of its members. Then Tick stepped forward, its small green form trembling slightly. I have a suggestion, it said, voice buzzing through its translator. Send humans. The chamber filled with shocked sounds. Many aliens objected immediately. Humans were still not trusted by most council members. But Tick continued bravely. My research shows that humans have physical and mental capabilities that might be effective against whatever attacked the station. They have faster reactions, better combat instincts, and can think tactically in ways we cannot. Elder Jean considered this. The human ship could reach Station 12 in 5 days, not 3 weeks. After much debate, the council agreed. A small team would go to investigate. 3 humans and 2 brave Vril observers, including Tick, June, and Tae, volunteered immediately. Captain Lee selected Minho, their security expert, as the 3rd human. The human ship was prepared for departure within hours. As they were about to leave, Elder Jean spoke privately to June. If what I fear is true, you will face something the council has not seen in thousands of years. What do you mean? June asked. Long ago, before the peaceful council existed, our ancestors faced predator species that hunted them among the stars. In ancient records, they were called the Krav. We believed them extinct. You think these Krav have returned? June asked. Elder Jean's large eyes blinked slowly. I hope not. But if they have, perhaps it takes a predator to stop a predator. The journey to Station 12 took 5 days. The station orbited a small dwarf star at the edge of council space. As they approached, they saw no external damage to the station. No signs of weapons fire or collision, Minho said, checking the sensors. Whatever happened was inside. They docked carefully and prepared to enter. Minho distributed emergency weapons to the humans, simple devices that could stun or incapacitate. The 2 Vril observers, Tick and another named Vex, stayed close to the humans. Stay behind us, Minho told the Vril. If there's danger, let us handle it. They entered the station through the main airlock. The lights were on emergency power, creating deep shadows everywhere. The air smelled wrong, stale with a strange, sharp odor June didn't recognize. It's too quiet, Tae whispered. There should be 53 researchers here. They moved carefully through the entry area and into the main corridor. Everything seemed undamaged but abandoned. Food sat half-eaten in the dining area. Research equipment was still running in the labs. It's like everyone just disappeared, June said. Then they found the first sign of what happened. Long scratch marks ran down one wall of a corridor, cutting deep into the metal. Whatever made them had to be incredibly strong. Those weren't made by any council species, Tick said, its voice trembling. They continued deeper into the station. In a large research lab, they found more evidence, strange dark stains on the floor and more scratch marks on the walls and doors. Suddenly, Vex's antennae went completely straight. Movement, it whispered urgently. Something is coming. They froze, listening. At first, June heard nothing. Then he caught it, a soft clicking sound like hard claws on metal. It was coming from a dark corridor ahead. Get back, Minho whispered, raising his weapon. The clicking stopped. For a moment, everything was silent. Then something emerged from the darkness. June felt his breath catch. It was like nothing he had ever seen before. The creature had a dark, armored body with multiple legs ending in sharp claws. Its head held no eyes that June could see, but it had long sensors that moved constantly, tasting the air. Most terrifying was its mouth, a complex arrangement of sharp, moving parts. Krav, Tick whispered in horror. The creature turned at the sound. It seemed to focus on them, though June couldn't tell how it sensed them without eyes. Then it made a high, trilling sound. From other corridors, answering trills came back. There are more of them, Tae said quietly. They hunt in packs. The Krav suddenly charged forward with shocking speed. Minho fired his weapon, but the creature barely slowed. Its armored body seemed to reflect the energy. Run, Minho shouted. They turned and raced back the way they had come. Behind them, more Krav poured from side corridors, all making the same trilling sounds. They're coordinating, June realized as they ran. Like wolves or lions on Earth. The 2 Vril could not run as fast as the humans. Without hesitation, Minho picked up Vex while June grabbed Tick. The humans carried the terrified aliens as they fled through the station. They reached a small control room with a reinforced door. Tay slammed it shut behind them and engaged the lock. "What are those things?" she gasped, trying to catch her breath. "The Krav," Tick said, trembling. "Predators from ancient times. Council records say they hunted our ancestor species nearly to extinction before the Council united to drive them away." June checked the room's computer terminal. "It's still working. Let me see if I can access the station's logs." While June worked, they heard the Krav outside scratching at the door, trying to find a way in. "The door will hold for now," Minho said, "but we need a plan." June found and played the station's last security recordings. They watched in horror as the Krav invaded the station. The Council researchers had no chance. Their instincts told them to freeze or hide. Perfect responses for prey-facing predators on their homeworlds, but useless against hunters in the confined space of the station. "Look at how they move," Tay said, studying the recordings. "They're hurting the researchers, cutting off escape routes, like pack hunters," June agreed. "And their bodies reflect energy weapons. That's why the defense systems failed." As they watched the recordings, June felt something change inside him. His heartbeat steadied. His senses seemed sharper. When a Krav suddenly slammed against the door, making a loud bang, he didn't jump like the others. Instead, he turned calmly toward the sound, his pupils widening. Tick backed away from him in fear. "Your eyes," it whispered. "They're changing again." "Yes," June said quietly, "but this time it might save us all." "We need to find out if anyone survived," June said, still watching the security recordings. His voice was calm now, focused. Tay nodded, noticing the change in him. "The Krav seemed to have attacked 12 hours ago. There might be survivors hiding, somewhere." Minho checked his weapon. "This isn't doing much against their armor. We need better options." June studied the station layout on the computer. "There's a maintenance shaft network that runs throughout the station. It's narrow. The Krav might be too big to follow us there." "Good thinking," Minho said. "We can use the shafts to move around safely and look for survivors." Tick and Vex were huddled together, their antennae trembling. The scratching at the door had stopped, but they could still hear the Krav moving in the corridor outside. "They're waiting for us," Tick said. "Hunting requires patience." "Then we won't give them what they expect," June replied. He pointed to an access panel near the floor. "That leads to the maintenance shaft. We can avoid the corridor entirely." Minho removed the panel. The shaft was narrow but big enough for humans to crawl through. The Vril, being smaller, would have no trouble. "I'll go first," Minho said. "Then Tick and Vex, Tay next. June, you cover our rear." They moved into the shaft, one by one. It was dark inside, lit only by small emergency lights placed every few meters. They crawled slowly, trying to make as little noise as possible. "Where should we go?" Tay whispered. June checked a small map he'd downloaded to his device. "Living quarters section. If anyone survived, they might be hiding there." They crawled for what seemed like hours, taking turns at junctions in the shaft network. Once they heard clicking sounds above them as Krav moved through a corridor. Everyone froze until the sounds faded. Finally, they reached an exit panel near the living quarters. Minho carefully removed it and peered out. "Clear," he whispered. "No sign of the Krav." They climbed out into a dimly lit corridor. Doors lined both sides, private rooms for the station's researchers. "We should check each room," Tay suggested. "Too slow and too risky," June said. "Let's go to the section's common area first. Survivors might have gathered there." They moved carefully down the corridor, Minho in front with his weapon ready. The common area was a large space with tables, chairs, and small kitchen units. It appeared empty at first glance. Then June noticed something. "The air vent," he whispered, pointing to a large vent cover near the ceiling. "It's been removed and put back not quite right." Minho approached the vent carefully. "Hello?" he called, softly. "We're humans from Earth. We're here to help." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the vent cover moved slightly, and a small light blinked from inside. "Who are you?" a voice whispered. The translator made it sound musical but frightened. "We're a rescue team," Tay said. "Are you hurt?" Slowly, the vent cover moved aside. A young lumen emerged, its crystal body glowing very faintly. It was followed by two vril and a plant-like alien June recognized as a Phyta. "You came," the lumen said, in disbelief. "I am Ray. We thought no one would come." "Are there other survivors?" June asked. Ray's light patterns dimmed. "We don't know. We hid when the Krav attacked. There was no time to find others. The survivors were exhausted and frightened." Ray explained that they had been hiding in the ventilation system for hours, afraid to make any sound that might attract the Krav. "Our defense systems didn't work," Ray said. "The Krav just absorbed the energy or reflected it back." "How many Krav are there?" Minho asked. "At least 15, Ray answered. "Maybe more. They move so fast it's hard to count them." June was thinking hard. "They hunt like pack animals from Earth's ancient past. They use flanking movements, they herd their prey, they coordinate their attacks." Tick looked at June with new understanding. "You recognize their tactics because your ancestors used the same ones." "Yes," June admitted. "And that gives us an advantage. We can predict what they'll do next." Suddenly, the lights in the common area went out completely. Emergency lighting came on a moment later, casting deep shadows across the room. "They're cutting power to different sections," Ray explained. "They've been doing this since they arrived." "Smart," Minho said grimly. "They're creating fear and confusion." June nodded. "They're manipulating their environment to help their hunt. We need to get back to our ship. It's our only way out of here." "The ship is on the other side of the station," Tay pointed out. "We'd have to go through Krav-controlled areas." June studied his station map again. "There's one path that might work. The main power conduit runs directly from the reactor to the docking bay. It's big enough for us to move through, and the Krav might avoid it because of the electromagnetic fields." "It's worth trying," Minho agreed. "But we'd need to distract the Krav first, draw them away from our path." A plan began to form in June's mind. "We'll need to split up," he said. "One team creates a distraction. The other leads the survivors to the ship." "I'll lead the distraction team," Minho volunteered immediately. "No, I will," June said. His voice had changed again, calmer, more focused. "I understand how they think, how they hunt. I can predict their movements better." Tay looked at him with concern. "You can't go alone." "I won't. Minho will come with me. You lead Tick, Vex, and the survivors to the ship. Get it ready for immediate departure." After discussing details, they agreed on the plan. June and Minho would create a distraction in the station's research lab, drawing the Krav away from the path to the docking bay. Tay would lead the others through the power conduit to the ship. "Give us 30 minutes before you start moving," June told Tay. "That should be enough time to draw most of the Krav to us." "How will you escape?" Tay asked. "There's a secondary maintenance shaft that runs from the lab to the cargo area near the docking bay," June explained. "We'll use it once we've drawn enough of them away." Before they separated, Tick approached June. Its antennae moved in what June now recognized as a sign of respect. "You're using predator instincts to save prey," Tick said. "This is something new in the galaxy." June and Minho gathered supplies from the common area, kitchen tools, maintenance equipment, anything that could be used as a weapon or tool. "Ready?" Minho asked. June nodded. He felt strangely calm now. His senses seemed sharper, his mind clearer. This was what his ancestors had felt before a hunt. "Let's go," he said. They moved through the maintenance shafts again, making their way toward the research lab. Twice they had to stop and wait as Krav moved nearby, their claws clicking on the metal floors. When they reached the lab, they emerged carefully. The large space was filled with research equipment. Some of it had been damaged during the attack. "Perfect," June whispered, looking around. Lots of places to move, to hide, to set traps. They worked quickly, creating noisemakers, from lab equipment, setting up trip lines across doorways, preparing escape routes. "Now we need to call them," June said when they were ready. Minho looked at him doubtfully. How do we do that? June smiled. We hunt them. He picked up a long metal rod from a broken piece of equipment. Moving to a wall, he began tapping out a rhythm, like the clicking sounds the Krav made but slightly wrong. A false signal. They'll come to investigate, June explained. Predators are curious about anything unusual in their territory. They didn't have to wait long. Within minutes, they heard the click of claws approaching the lab. Get ready, June whispered. His pupils were fully dilated now, taking in every bit of light in the dimly lit lab. The first Krav appeared in a doorway. It paused, its sensors moving as it tried to locate the source of the strange clicking. June and Minho were hidden behind a large piece of equipment. They watched as the Krav moved further into the lab. 2 more appeared behind it. 3 so far, Minho whispered. We need more. June nodded. He moved slightly, deliberately making a small sound. The Krav immediately turned toward it. Now we run, June said. Make them chase us through the traps. They broke cover, racing across the lab. The Krav immediately gave chase, their high trilling calls echoing through the station. As June had predicted, more Krav responded to the calls, pouring into the lab from other entrances. It's working, Minho called as they dodged between equipment. There must be at least 10 of them now. One Krav hit a trip line and crashed into a table of glass containers. Another became tangled in cables June had arranged, but the others kept coming. They were fast, faster than humans, and their coordination was perfect. They were trying to cut off escape routes, to corner their prey. As they ran, June realized something. The Krav weren't just predators. They were perfect hunting machines with no emotions, no fear, no hesitation. Just pure instinct and hunger. Humans were different. They had predator instincts, yes, but they had something more. They had minds that could think beyond instinct. They could plan, adapt, create. That was the difference that would save them. This way, June called to Minho as they raced through the research lab. The Krav were right behind them, their claws clicking rapidly on the metal floor. June led them toward a heavy storage cabinet he had noticed earlier. As they passed it, he and Minho shoved it hard. The cabinet crashed down, blocking the path behind them. 2 Krav were caught underneath, their legs thrashing. The maintenance shaft entrance is ahead, June said, breathing hard. They reached the small access panel, and Minho yanked it open. They could hear more Krav approaching from other directions. You first, June told Minho. I'll hold them off for a few seconds. Minho hesitated. Are you sure? Go, June insisted. As Minho crawled into the shaft, June faced the approaching Krav. There were at least 5 of them coming from different directions. Their armored bodies gleamed dully in the emergency lighting. June had a metal rod in his hand, a broken piece of lab equipment. He held it ready like a spear. Time seemed to slow down. He could see every movement the Krav made, could predict which one would reach him first. The lead Krav leaped toward him. June stepped aside at the last moment and drove his makeshift spear into a gap in the creature's armor where its legs joined its body. The Krav made a high shrieking sound and fell, its legs twitching. Without waiting to see more, June dove into the maintenance shaft and pulled the panel closed behind him. He could hear the Krav scratching at it immediately. That was too close, Minho said as June caught up to him in the shaft. But it worked, June replied. We've drawn at least 12 Krav away from the escape route. Tay and the others should be able to reach the ship safely. They crawled quickly through the narrow maintenance shaft. It led them toward the cargo area, near the docking bay, just as June had planned. After 15 minutes of crawling, they reached another access panel. This should put us in the cargo storage, June said. From there, it's a short run to the docking bay. Minho carefully removed the panel and peered out. Clear, he whispered. No sign of the Krav. They climbed out into a large room filled with storage containers. The docking bay was just beyond a set of double doors at the far end. Let's move quickly but quietly, June said. Some Krav might still be patrolling this area. They moved from container to container, staying low and watching for movement. The ship was so close now. Suddenly, Minho grabbed June's arm. Listen, he whispered. From behind one of the larger containers came the now familiar clicking sound of Krav claws. But this sound was different, slower, more deliberate. June peered around the edge of their hiding place. What he saw made his blood run cold. A Krav larger than any they had seen before was moving slowly through the cargo area. Its armor was darker, with strange markings across its surface. It moved with purpose, its sensory appendages constantly sampling the air. That must be their leader, June whispered. An alpha. The alpha Krav stopped and made a trilling sound. From other places in the cargo area, answering calls came back. There are more of them, Minho said. They were waiting for us. June's mind raced. They predicted we would come this way. They're smarter than we thought. The alpha Krav suddenly turned in their direction. Its sensory appendages extended toward their hiding place. It knows we're here, Minho said. June made a quick decision. New plan, I'll draw it away. You get to the ship and make sure Tai and the others are safe. I can't leave you, Minho protested. You have to, June said firmly. Someone needs to warn the council about the Krav. This is bigger than just us now. Before Minho could argue further, June picked up a small metal object from the floor and threw it toward the far side of the room. It clattered loudly, drawing the attention of the Krav. Go now, June whispered. I'll be right behind you. Minho hesitated, then nodded. As the Krav moved to investigate the noise, he slipped away toward the docking bay doors. June waited until Minho was safely away, then moved in the opposite direction. He needed to keep the alpha Krav focused on him. Hey, he shouted, stepping into the open. Looking for me? The alpha Krav spun around with surprising speed. Its sensory appendages focused on June, and it made a loud, trilling call that echoed through the cargo area. June ran. He didn't need to look back to know the alpha was chasing him. He could hear its claws on the metal floor moving faster than he thought possible for something so large. June dodged between containers, using his knowledge of human hunting tactics against the predator. When the Krav charged straight at him, June made sharp turns. When it tried to cut him off, he doubled back unexpectedly. But he was tiring, and the Krav seemed tireless. June knew he couldn't outrun it forever. He needed a new plan. Ahead, he saw a control panel on the wall. It controlled the cargo loading system, large mechanical arms that moved containers around the storage area. June sprinted toward it. The alpha Krav was right behind him, so close he could hear its breathing apparatus working. He reached the panel and slammed his hand down on the emergency activation button. The cargo system came to life with a loud hum. Mechanical arms began moving, picking up containers and shifting them around. The sudden movement confused the alpha Krav. It stopped, its sensory appendages waving frantically as it tried to make sense of the chaos. June didn't wait. He ran for the docking bay doors. As he burst through them, he saw the human ship ahead. Its engines were running, ready for departure. The boarding ramp was still down and Tay stood there waving frantically. June, hurry, she shouted. He sprinted toward the ship. Behind him, he heard the doors crash open as the alpha Krav recovered and resumed the chase. June ran up the ramp just as the alpha leaped toward him. Minho appeared with a weapon and fired repeatedly at the creature. The shots didn't penetrate its armor, but they drove it back long enough for the ramp to close. Get us out of here, June shouted. The ship's engines roared as they lifted off from the docking bay. Through a viewport, June could see more Krav pouring into the area, including the alpha, which stood watching as their prey escaped. We made it, Tay said, relief clear in her voice. All the survivors are on board, we're safe. June slumped into a seat, exhausted. His pupils, which had been fully dilated during the chase, slowly returned to normal. Tick approached him cautiously. What you did back there, the small vril said. It would remarkable. What did I do? June asked. You thought like a predator to save prey, Tick replied. You used hunting instincts for protection, not harm. As the ship accelerated away from the station, June realized something important. We can't let the Krav spread, he said. If they reach other council worlds. Minho nodded grimly. I've set the ship's weapons to target the station's reactor. Once we're at a safe distance, we can destroy it. The Krav will be contained. June looked at the survivors they had rescued. Ray, the young Lumen, the two Vril researchers, and the plant-like Phyta. All of them were watching him with a mixture of fear and something new. Respect. Your eyes, Ray said suddenly, its crystal body glowing softly. They changed when you fought the Krav. They got bigger, like when we first met, humans. But now they're normal again. That's the difference between us and the Krav, June explained. We can control our predator instincts. We can choose when to use them and when to set them aside. 3 weeks later, June stood before the full Galactic Council. Elder Jean had called a special meeting to discuss what had happened at Station ICE-12 and what it meant for the future. The Krav are contained for now, Elder Jean told the assembled representatives, but they may exist in other unexplored regions of space. The Council faces a threat we have not seen in thousands of years. A tall, plant-like alien spoke up. How can we defend against such predators? Our defenses were useless against them. Elder Jean turned to where the human delegation stood. Perhaps, the willowy alien said, we already have the answer. Tick stepped forward. The small Vril scientist had become an unexpected champion for humans among the council. My research shows that what makes humans dangerous is also what makes them unique protectors, Tick said. Unlike the mindless Krav, humans have evolved complex ethical systems to control their predatory nature. Humans developed empathy precisely because they needed to determine who was prey and who was family. Tick continued. Their greatest strength isn't their predatory ability. It's their capacity to choose when not to use it. The council debated for days. Many members remained afraid of humans, but the events at Station 12 could not be ignored. In the end, they voted to accept humans as partners and protectors. As June left the council chamber, Ray approached him. The young Lumen had asked to join the new joint research program studying the Krav. Your kind still frightens mine, Ray said, its light patterns forming complex patterns. But fear of predators kept my ancestors alive. Fear has wisdom in it. I want to understand that wisdom. June smiled, careful not to show his teeth. That's why we'll work well together. You understand fear, and we understand hunger. Between us, we might understand the galaxy better than either could alone. And across the stars, a new partnership formed between the galaxy's prey species and their unlikely protectors, the humans, whose pupils still dilated at the smell of blood, but who chose what that ancient signal meant.